Okay, well, we're going to show you. We've done our basically the first phase of our self-watering garden, and this is the base structure. We got this idea off a gentleman on the internet that he has some videos out there titled "Self-Watering." He's got great systems. We kind of tweaked this one a little bit, and but basically the materials are 8-foot treated 2x4s with 10-foot vinyl U-shaped gutters. That's basically what we have going on there. And we put end caps on both of them, and we put 18-inch pieces of 2x4 on the bottom of each one of these to give it that support and stability, and it gives you the opportunity to level them up. So this is just the, like I said, the very beginning phase. This is the base structure, and then the next thing we're going to do is hook up the water lines and the float valves. And you see we just used the little screws. They're galvanized. They're used for decking and things like that. They're just a 3/4 inch screw with the head on there, hopefully keep from rusting. And that's it. We, like I said, they're 10-foot vinyl U-shaped gutters. They're sold for about a little less than $7 at Lowe's. And then the end caps are about $3 a piece. And the treated 2x4, 8-foot 2x4s. And then I just used some scraps that I had around for the 18-inch pieces. And you'll notice the carpeting too. I forgot that. That's a great way to make reuse some carpet, old carpet out of apartments that I pulled. Basically, it's going to hold the weeds down, as this is, in essence, a raised bed garden. But the gutter system underneath it is going to be geared for a self-watering set. And the barrels will be placed up here on this, and we'll have some tubes that'll be attached into the gutters, and it'll come down, and there'll be a float valve in there basically. But we'll get back to that one as soon as I get the tubing run and the float valves and the water barrels in place. I'll bring you the next video. God bless. Okay, folks. Well, I told you we'd be back for part 2. This is the irrigation part of the setup for the self-watering garden, and we're going to start off right now. I'll show you. These are the water storage tanks basically, and at some point there towards the top we're going to connect those right into our rain down spouts, so we'll be in collection water every time it rains. For now, we just fill them up with a hose just to test everything and make sure we're getting things right. And what you have here is this 5-gallon bucket here. If you'll notice, we've got shut-off valve here coming out of that, a little shut-off valve coming out of here, and any way you can kind of configure this. We got this 1/4-inch line hose that goes back here. You'll see a little T, and it goes into the bucket, into a float valve. Just a little $5 on Amazon.com float valve. And then it comes out here to another shut-off, and basically that little float valve, we put the lid on there, keeps everything kind of sealed and no stagnant water gets in there. Then this line, if you'll see, this line runs down, and so these two tanks are the supply here and here, and this kind of is our tank that just holds a little reservoir with the float valve to shut the water on and off automatically. So when the plants, this line here will run directly over, and you'll see how we feed it right into the gutter. And if you'll notice, I'll get up close, how there's just a little fitting right there. These are just push fit fittings with 1/4-inch hose. Another push fit that comes over, another push fit. So you have 4 gutters. You'll see in the last video we talked about how they're built. Now the most crucial part of the whole design really for this phase was actually getting these level. If you'll see, we've used some blocks and things like that. We kind of got it up off the ground a little more. Used some pieces of wood to kind of level it and get it. If you got real level ground, it won't be as difficult, but we kept having to put pieces in there and pieces in here and getting it right. So that's kind of where we're at. And then I'll show you, these valves are on now. they're feeding into where the float valve is. And so the float valve is basically just going to, as the water level goes down, just like a toilet float valve would do, it's going to open up and it's going to let this tank fill back up again. I'll turn this on real quick for us here. Now, as I turn that valve on, the water now is going to come in through these lines, and I'll show you how it works. And you can see the water now trickling in, and that's all you need. And this whole trough here, the water's pretty level in there, so it's all going to be even. And basically that's how it's irrigated. Real simple, nothing hard about this. And you can see, we'll show you this last one trickling into, same thing. And there's the setup, folks. And so the next stage now is our actual raised bed planters. They will sit on top of this gutter system, and we'll show you in the next phase, step 3, on how that works. And for today, that's all it is. Real simple. And this hose is pretty inexpensive. The push fit fittings were between $1 and $2 a piece, so they're a little bit more expensive. You could come up with something else. Anyway, you could hose this and get it to these. Some people will actually put the float valve. If you just have one gutter and you just have, you know, your buckets on here, you could actually just put your float valve right in this gutter here. That's the way the original design was. But to save some money and to make it a little bit more efficient for me, we just did this. I used one float valve there, and that's all it really needed. Now I can add on to this as much as I need to. I can put some other gutters next year, but for now, this is it. It's already beginning of June tomorrow, and we don't have our plants in. But we did have a frost a couple days ago, so probably a good thing anyways. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. I'll be back with part 2 or part 3 in the final phase here as soon as possible. Thanks. God bless. Okay, folks, we're back already. This is the raised beds here on this self-watering garden. This is part 3, kind of the 3rd phase. We showed you how to build the gutter system and whatnot, and then we showed you how the irrigation system works here in the last video, and how it fed in. And you see the water level in the gutters is right where it kind of needs to be. And now, the original system that was designed, where I learned this from, basically at this point they would take 5-gallon buckets, and they would use the 5-gallon buckets and set them on there, and that was it. So I come up with this idea kind of on my own. I had these 55-gallon drums sitting around. So basically what we did, make it real simple and quick, we took these 5-gallon buckets, or 55-gallon drums, sorry, and we cut them directly in half. And it was easy because right along here, there's a seam. You could follow right along. I just took a circular saw, buzzed them right in half, and they made perfect beds. So then, the next concept is we basically have to take this. These are little net cups. You can get 100 of these for like 10-15 bucks on the internet. They're nice, they're pretty durable, flexible little things. And we drilled our holes sitting right over the gutter. And you can see the water down in there. And then these cups just sit in there, and they're kind of floating a little bit now because there's no weight in there. And that's basically it. Now, you know, this is kind of testing a little bit because we don't know, but I put 3 of them in there. And if you use a smaller system and you have a 5-gallon bucket, all you're going to need is just one of these. And basically, that's it. We took 55-gallon plastic barrels, cut them in half with a circular saw right along the seams, made perfect halves, set them up on the gutters. We drilled these holes in them, took a 3-inch hole saw and drilled them. Bought these 3-inch net cups on Amazon. Bought them the same time I bought those float valves, and that's how simple it is. So basically, the concept and design now is that these net cups our last phase is going to be making our own compost. Now, if you decide we're making our own soil, but if you decide that you want to go and buy soil and do whatever you want, that's fine. But once you get the soil, we'll be packing them in here. We'll pack the dirt in there really tight, and it'll be a wet, moist compound. And basically, this will act as a wick. So the plants and all the experts out there in gardening, master gardeners, say that plants that are fed from the root system up always are healthier, grow stronger, you get better fruits and things like that. So we like raised beds, but this concept has kind of taken it a step further now, and we're going to make our own compost, our own potting mix basically, and we're going to put it in those net cups tight, pack it in there, and they'll act as wicks. And as the plants need moisture, they'll take it in through the root system, and then as the water level drops in the gutters, at that point it automatically will feed water into it, and when the water when it needs more water, it'll take it from that center reservoir, of course, and as it needs filled up, the float valve will open up, and you'll have these two reservoir tanks fill that back up. So here we are, and that's basically how the raised bed's going to work in there. So the next phase and the last part we're going to do is we're going to make our own potting soil, and we'll see you back then. And so God bless.